Good morning, everybody. This is Erin King coming to you from Jacksonville, Florida, your real estate professional. Welcome to this week's Real Estate Deep Dive. I hope everybody had an amazing Thanksgiving. We took some time off to be with our friends and family and hope you were able to see your friends and family as well. Additionally, you may have noticed behind me here, we've got some polish in the new and upcoming studio here. I hope you enjoyed the more refreshed backdrop and maybe a little bit more of a professional setting. Those first couple of videos, we just wanted to make sure we got something started for you, and really more than anything, just getting the correct information in your hands. And we're looking forward to bringing that to you weekly moving forward. Let's get right in. The big question I keep getting asked right now is, Erin, is this a good time to sell? Erin, is this a good time to sell? We think it is, but we're not sure. You know, is the market getting back to normal? What's going on? And so that's what we're going to talk about this week. We've got more inventory coming online this fall and this winter. And on this topic, why we're going to see more listings this winter than a typical real estate market. Again, this is not a typical real estate season. Again, you know, it's gotten better, but it's still way off the norm for normal. And this article came out this week in the Wall Street Journal. Will real estate ever be normal again? And that's probably a better question to be asking right now because, again, we're just anything but typical. So, and with that as a backdrop, here's what I want to talk about. We're likely to see a lot more inventory come on the market this winter. So when does that happen normally? Well, if you go back and look at a regular market cycle, we would say a typical year here in Jacksonville, you know, usually about the day after Valentine's Day up until about the last week of June, right before 4th of July, is prime seller season. That early spring market, we see sellers typically get the highest margins they get out of their homes all year. And then the market slowly just starts to dip off a little bit until we get into that fall season. So I'll throw that answer out right now and just simply say, we see it happening this winter, folks. It's going to be those people who have been waiting to sell. And as we look at the surveys, and again, just my own business and people that are calling in and talking to us, and what we're seeing in the activity center of sellers looking for information, those numbers are at an all-time high. People want to sell. They want to move. They've been waiting. Maybe you've been locked in your house all year. You're both working from home. You've got kids. You've got pets. And it's just been Operation Hot Mess now for an entire year. And home means something different to you now than it once did. As we look at that, I want to break it down for you this morning with some very interesting information from the National Association of Realtors, or what we'll refer to as NAR, moving forward. So we're going to start off there and say home sellers have historically moved when something in their lives changed. A new baby, a marriage, a divorce, a new job, relocation. The pandemic has impacted everyone, and for many this became an impetus to sell and make a housing trade. And we'd like to thank Jessica Lautz, the VP of Demographics and Behavioral Insights at the NAR, for her insights here. So traditionally, life events are what drive our business. But okay, so here comes the pandemic in the last year, and our dream to live in a condo downtown, or maybe we want to live closer to friends and family, and they said that's not our goal anymore. We need a bit more space between us. We need a home office. We need a place for the kids to go to school. We need a place to work out. A lot of people have been making those types of decisions based on their new needs. For many folks who've made many decisions concerning housing for many different reasons, but it's safe to say the pandemic drove a lot of that. It drove those decisions other than life events that typically happen to them. In that same report, it says the pandemic likely spurred occupants to shorten their home stay as tenure in the home decreased to 8 years from 10 years, according to the report. And this is the largest single year change in home tenure since NAR began collecting such data. Many of us have grown up saying, you know, we move about every 6 to 8 years. 5 years, somewhere around in there. Well, we can now see with this graphic, if we look from 1985 to 2008, folks stayed in their homes an average of 6 years. Well, post-2008, tenure started to climb, with that average being about 9.2 years. And we even see some of those years being 10 years. There are many different reasons for that. However, we see the most recent information indicating the average tenure dropping to 8 years. It is pretty interesting to observe these types of outcomes. Now, I'm not suggesting that 1 year makes a huge trend, but I am saying that there are people out there that decided over the last 10 years or so not to move, and they're thinking differently about that now. And it's safe to say that as pent-up seller demand increases, that there are many reasons post-housing crisis people didn't have the equity. They weren't able to move because they didn't have the funds available to do so. And you know, price appreciation has driven a lot of market change this year. People have equity. They've got mobility now. They can make that trade up if they want to, or they can make that trade horizontally to maybe a better neighborhood that they've wanted to stay in. We get this big question all the time. What is my house worth? And prior to the pandemic, that was pretty predictable. But as of September of last year, that all really changed for all of us. Housing prices spiked, inventory crashed, and we've talked about that in the previous market updates, where in January of 20, we were running around with about 10,000 units of inventory in our MLS up here in Northeast Florida. And you fast forward that to January of 21, and I think it was the second or third week of January, the Monday, we had 875 total doorknobs available for sale in the entire Northeast Florida corridor. And that's just insane. We're back up to a little over 3,000, and that number kind of keeps going up and down. People that haven't moved, they want to move. Additionally, here in Florida, we have people coming in all the time. People are moving here from all over the country. And builders just cannot keep up. I was talking to one of my KB Home salespeople the other day, and they just sold out and it completely sold out a neighborhood in record time. And this is what we're seeing across the board. Builders just cannot build homes fast enough. Let's go back to George Ratiu, the manager of economic research for Realtor.com. And he says the pandemic has delayed plans for many Americans and homeowners looking to move into the next stage of life are no exception. Recent survey data suggests the majority of prospective sellers are actively preparing to enter the market this winter. So over the last several years, we know that sellers have entered the market in a normal market, getting ready for that spring season. And I think we're going to come into the market this winter, so now's the time to make a move. Of the sellers planning to enter the market, 65% plan to list their home this winter. 93% have already taken steps to list their home. I can say that's true in my practice. I have some people that are wanting to do stuff earlier in the winter, but I have a lot of people that are already talking to me, and I'm just continuing to bring on new sellers that say, hey, we're ready to make this happen. So 36% of homeowners have researched the value of their home or others in the neighborhood and are getting ready to sell their home. And as we get into the holidays, I think this question is going to come up. I know it's going to come up with my friends and family. Have you thought about selling, or have you thought about buying? And hear me right, I don't try to make every social interaction, a listing appointment. That's kind of silly. But people do ask, what do you think? What do you think? And I tell people, here's what the facts say, and here's what my intuition says. And my intuition says that we're going to have a really solid winter season of selling this year. The most important thing, people want to know what their home is worth. And I know a lot of you out there in the world of the .com era, you want to, or Google, we want to go and we want to just make it easy. I want to click a button and magic happens. I want to go into a website and it's going to tell me exactly what my house is worth. And as we've seen from certain big players in the iBuyer sector this year, there is no better valuator of real estate than an appraiser and or a seasoned, skilled, highly performing real estate professional. Okay? And people ask me all the time, what's my house worth? And my first reaction is, I have to come see your house. I can give you a range of value over the phone, but if you really want me to dial that in, I have to come see your house. I have to walk through it. We've got to take a look at what's going on, because that's just the way this works. I don't make up the rules. And if you're working with a real estate professional and you're trying to get this information from anything but an in-person meeting, it's probably just not going to be very accurate. If we look inside that same report, there was some cumulative lists of the top reasons people sell. So 33% realized they just want something different. It's just time to move. 37% of their homes no longer meet their needs. 32% want to be closer to friends and family. And 23% of people work inside their homes now. That's a huge number, folks. So it's safe to say, as we look to the past and say people didn't decide to move the last 10 years, people are saying, yes, I want to make a decision now. By the way, the reasons for that are listed here. So the reasons that I need to make a move and I didn't make it are driving me. Record equity is also driving the marketplace. I know our own home, we've seen well over a six-figure jump here in Avondale just in the last year or so. A lot of my neighbors are all seeing the same thing across the board, that the values of our homes have jumped quite a bit. But it's like I tell all my sellers or advise, and I say, consider. I know you can make a fortune in this market right now, but we've got to figure out what to do next before we put the sign in the ground. I think where we go here is, what does the inventory look right now? Well, here's the active monthly listing counts. And as you can see from the graphic here, 2017, 2018, and 2019, which are normal markets, how active listing counts were, and then we bring the pandemic into 20, and we see the lines just go all over the place. What will happen now? Will active listings continue to climb above where we were in 2020? Or will they flatten back out, or will they drop? My best guess is they're going to continue to be between flat and climbing. We want to see more listings come to the market, but as we've seen with the mortgage rates, and we're going to do an update on that next, we're going to talk a little bit about interest rates. Interest rates have not jumped. Prices are continuing to increase, but they've done it at a decelerated rate, and we're still seeing a lot of activity for nice homes. I want to make a caveat there on a nice home. If your house is full of holes and it's got weird paint and it doesn't look right, buyers are really taking a step back and saying, hey, I'll just not buy that right now. I don't have to have a house right now. There is just not a market out there, folks, that has sufficient inventory to cause a balanced real estate market. It is still a log-jammed seller's market. There's just a lot of buyers out there, and there's just not enough homes. However, I am noticing buyers being a lot more pickier about what they're putting offers in on. It's not just, hey, sign in the ground and it's gone. Buyers are being a lot more picky now, and they're holding sellers accountable, and we're seeing a decrease in interest with appraisal gaps. We're seeing inspections, due diligence periods come back alive, and this as an agent makes me so happy because I want to see that more balanced market. And I think the real estate market at large does as well. On a positive note, Danielle Hale, the chief economist at the Realtors, she says, on a positive note, new listings this week were higher than we saw at this time a year ago. The first uptick in 8 weeks. That's great news. My answer and my forecast moving forward for sellers, you have got to price your house accurately. If you go too high, you're going to get into the spiral of death. In other words, the house is priced too high, you wait a little bit, you lower the price. Maybe it's not enough. The buyers wait on the side of the pool. You lower it again. And then the new thing is, well, they're going to lower it again, and the buyers don't come. Okay? So you have to price your house accurately. But also, if you underprice your house and you get these multiple offers again, remember, the buyer's mentality had changed. They're holding sellers a lot more accountable. So you getting that multiple offer and then sticking there without doing repairs if they're needed or wanted, it's kind of a big deal. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, not today, but we're going to do this in a future update, is how completely bananas the insurance market is right now. And I know you're like, oh, transition to insurance. No, it all comes together because you have to have a home insurance if you have a mortgage to fund a loan to buy the house in the first place. And the insurance industry in Florida is hemorrhaging billions of dollars in the last not too long. I think in the last year, one of my insurance professionals told me that they're down over $4 billion. And folks, I'm telling you straight, insurance companies are really pushing back on the quality of the collateral or the condition of the home. And so it's really something to consider before you put that offer in. What's the condition of the house? Is this going to pass muster? And if it's not, am I working with a seller who's willing to make it work? That's all things we're supposed to be doing for you as your professional. So we're going to wrap this up. Trying to stick to my script here. So I've also been given some feedback that I sway around a little bit, and I'm just a very animated person. I really love doing these videos. They really give me a lot of energy, and I hope the message is being well received with you as well. But somebody did tell me that the other day, and I do take that feedback to heart. Again, this takes us to the end of our weekly update. We're sending everybody best wishes. We look forward to seeing you back next week. Keep an eye out. There's a lot going on right now, and I may do a couple more updates than normal just to get us all caught back up. But in the meantime, if you have questions, put them in the comment. If you love the content, we invite you to like and subscribe and hang out with us once in a while. If you need anything, I'm here for you. Give me a call. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.